All right, everybody. I have just a minute after the hour mark, so I wanted to make sure that we start on time because I know that y'all's time is so precious. We are so excited to welcome you to the Week 6 webinar here in the SNHU Learning Community. We sure hope that y'all are having a great term. Like I mentioned, your cameras and microphones are not enabled, so please utilize the chat if you have any questions. We're going to talk about this week's Week 6 journal assignment, and then we're going to center in on using the academic support team and putting together that final project for next week, okay? This is a great time to say hello. Let us know where you're from. I'm Melanie Shop. I'm your learning community gal for SNHU. I'm coming to y'all live from just outside of Pensacola, Florida, and I'm just so excited that you all are here. And I see a few of you are saying hello. I sure hope these webinars have been helpful if you've been able to see them through the term. I will share how to find the webinar recording links or the focus video links in the chat when we get done today. But if you have any questions, make sure that you go ahead and pop those just right in our chat space. Okay, so as always, your experience here at Southern New Hampshire University is so incredibly important to us. It is our policy and practice to create an inclusive and accessible learning environment. If there are ever aspects of instruction or course design that present barriers to accessibility, please notify the Online Accessibility Center, the OAC, as soon as possible at 866-305-9430. You can also email them at oac@snhu.edu or visit the Online Accessibility Center website. Couple of just reminders, you've already heard it. No mics and cameras are enabled. This is an academic space, so always be mindful of your conduct. And just a reminder too that these webinars, whether you watch them live or catch the recording, they are not graded, they're not required, but I sure hope that they have been helpful in understanding what to do for your course assignments from week to week, and or kind of just helping you understand those concepts that you're covering in your class. That is why these learning community spaces are here, okay? So first and foremost, welcome to week 6. Y'all, you only have a few weeks left of your course, which is mind-blowing to me how quickly this has gone. And I realize I'm going to flip my camera on real quick. Hey, everybody. It's mind-blowing to me how fast I feel like this term has gone. Does anybody else feel that way? I wanted to just take a minute and just check in with you because you're nearing the last couple of weeks of your course. It's really important to just stop for a minute and kind of reflect on how things are going. So this is a great time where if you are stuck or have questions, just a reminder to make sure that you're reaching out and connecting with those resources. I always tell students when you have questions about assignments or specific grade questions like how you were graded, or if you're missing an assignment and want to know if you can still turn it in, the best person to answer those questions is always your course instructor. I always tell students, even my own, like, hey, life happens sometimes. So if that's happened to you or you're trying to catch up or you missed an assignment here or there, you can always reach out to your instructor and ask them if you can still catch those up. Some points are better than no points. They can say no. They have the right to say no, but usually they will work with you. And again, some points are better than no points. So remember that if you're working to catch up or turn some things in, okay? Double check your grades, like know what your grade is in any of the courses that you are taking. When y'all log right into Brightspace, now you have that cool feature where you can see your grade right off the bat. Otherwise, navigate yourself to the grade section and just double check that you got everything turned in, you're not missing anything. And it's really important to monitor your grades, especially as you're putting together like your projects, just to make sure that you understood those concepts right. Okay, so go after your best grade and go after your best term. That is my advice for you as you get into and finish week 6 and head into those last 2 weeks of the term, because I'm telling you, week 7 and week 8 are literally gone in just a blink. Okay, so this week here in week 6, y'all have it a little bit easier. I feel like week 5 in SNHU 107 was a lot. Did anybody else feel like that when you had multiple assignments last week in week 5, and then you get to week 6 and it's just one, which I feel like is kind of it's kind of a little bit of a deep breath moment for y'all. So this week you have that journal. Again, you have a template just like you've had in previous weeks. And this week's journal assignment is all centered around the concept of feedback, okay? So as always, the templates are always encouraged for you to use. If you want to get creative, that's fine. That's okay. Just make sure you have all the pieces and parts of the template, the questions, because typically when students do something creative or don't follow the template, they're missing something. So always double check if you do something different. But the template is designed for you to open it up and just type right in it, right? So this week you're answering these questions why you think feedback from others is important. Share your thoughts, complete sentences, use details, use examples so that your instructor can literally understand where you are coming from, okay? Question 2 is to describe your perceptions regarding receiving feedback. How does receiving feedback make you feel? Be honest. The only one that sees this is you and your instructor, unless you turn it into the academic support written feedback team, right? So be honest. How does feedback make you feel? Are you somebody that maybe needs to improve your reaction to feedback, and how could you do that, right? Question 3, describe how you can use past feedback to inform how you give and receive feedback now. What have you learned from past experiences where you got feedback? A lot of students sometimes are like, well, does this have to be something recent, like from like today or this term? No, this can be any time in your life. This could be something academic. This could be something personal. This could be something professional. This could even, I've had students share like, high school sports stories. I've had them share, relationship discussions that they've had. I've had them share even navigating feedback from the current term that they're in. The point is an experience of feedback that you have had. Reflect on it and share the information about it, okay? Question 4 is to describe the impact that diversity awareness has on giving and receiving feedback when you're communicating and collaborating with others. So why is it important to be aware of diversity when you're working with other people? What problems could you potentially run into if you don't understand diversity awareness when you're working with others? So share your thoughts and details, examples there. And then question 5 is to describe how you could use strategies for interacting with diverse groups of people as you give and receive feedback, okay? As always, you answer these questions, complete sentences, use details, use examples, and then this is due by this Sunday or before is convenient for your schedule, okay? So if you're somebody that's able to work a little bit ahead, cool. Just know that it's due by Sunday for sure, okay? So any questions on that week 6 assignment before we switch gears and talk about everything module 7? We talk about this project, the final project, the academic success plan, early. That way you can best prepare yourself. So I just wanted to make sure if there was any questions. It sounds like y'all feel pretty good about it. Okay. I like the week 6 journal assignment. It's actually one of my favorite assignments. As a reminder, your final project is next week. So week 7. So again, we're talking about this early. For your final project, it's really important just to remember it is worth a significant chunk of points. It's worth 250 points of your course points. So what I always tell students, if you remember anything from today, it is to turn this project in. You have worked too hard to not turn it in now. And honestly, the project itself is just a reflection and almost recapping and connecting the dots of everything that you have learned and worked on this term. Okay. So it's nothing like new really. It's just you reflecting and connecting the dots. Just like I said, you're connecting the dots in this final project. So for the final project, there's a template just like you've had on other assignments here in SNHU 107. You're going to open up that template, and we will go through that template today, okay? But you're going to open up that template and you're going to answer the questions. Be specific, use details, use examples, write and complete sentences, okay? You're going to be answering things like, what have you learned about your schedules or your schedule? What are those daily interruptions? What are things that you need to work on as far as managing or prioritizing your time? Concepts sound familiar, right? Because we talked about that way back in like week 1 and week 2. So a lot of these questions that you are answering are very similar to assignments you have done before. However, they are not exact. So students always like to ask me, well, can I just copy and paste from a previous assignment because it's pretty close? It's pretty close, but it's not exact. So you can definitely go back to previous assignments that have similar concepts and context that you are talking about for this final project, but it's not a copy and paste situation with the exception of mission and goals. So remember back in week 4, y'all wrote your mission and goals, right? You wrote your mission and then you wrote those 3 short-term goals. And I forgot to tell y'all that I'm going to be between screens so I can make sure I grab any of your questions. So back in week 4, you wrote 3 short-term goals and you wrote your mission statement. With that assignment, if you got 100%, no recommendations or edits that were needed from your graded feedback when your faculty graded it, you are able to just copy and paste over your mission statement and copy and paste over all 3 goals and the information you put down into the template for that section, okay? If you had recommended changes, like maybe you were missing some details or your goal wasn't short term or you needed some more information or you needed to edit your mission statement a little bit, If you had changes, you want to make sure you make those changes and then put them into your final project, okay? I always tell students when I'm grading this, I pull up previous assignments and compare the two, especially for mission and goals. If I recommended that a student change something or update something or add information, I'm going to be looking for it, okay? So that's the only exception where you might have that copy and paste exact situation. Remember to check out your instructor feedback from the Grade Center on the different assignments so that you know what you're doing. Use the template, trust the template. I always tell students it's so much easier if you just pop open that template and type right in it. The biggest thing is sometimes when we have a template, we kind of get in form filling out mode. You want to make sure that you are still expanding your thoughts and connecting the material. You want to have those details. You want to have those examples so that your instructor can understand your complete thought and where you're coming from, okay? And you want to make sure that you're using your resources, which was one of the most important things. And you have so much support here at SNHU, right? Have any of you utilized the academic support team yet? I want to introduce you to Amy. Say hello to Amy. Amy is a training specialist for the Academic Support Center, and she's also faculty here at SNHU. So she has her toes in both worlds, which is always really awesome because she sees both sides of things. You know, fun fact, I love this fact about her. She used to be a professional makeup artist for over 20 years. She's been a student success mentor and a career coach for online students. So she's worked for students for a very long time. And I love this advice. You know, her advice to others is as an online student herself for 10 years, she learned that asking questions and finding valuable resources are the key to success firsthand. So we have some questions for Amy. And she's going to share a little bit about the academic support team. And we're also going to share the screen so that you can see like where to find things for the academic support team, because sometimes y'all just don't know where to click or what to do. So I'm going to let Amy take over. Amy, tell me when you want me to navigate forward for the slides and share my screen, and then I'll be back.
Perfect. Hello, everyone, and I'm excited to be back with you guys and almost done with this term. I cannot believe it. Yes, it has flown by, Melanie. I can't believe it myself. But I wanted to share with you guys something that you can use right now and going forward for any other classes that you may have. Just as a reminder, a refresher for you guys, there are 3 ways you can find us through your courses, through my SNHU, and so forth. The first one is through Brightspace. Up at that top of that navigation bar, there is an academic support tab. Literally click it, it'll drop you right into our platform, which is probably the easiest and most efficient way to find us. The next place you can find us is through your My SNHU page. There is an academics tab, and then through academics, there's online academic support. That is us, and you'll notice we have our own page there, and there's tons of links and different information, so you will be dropped into our platform from that area as well. And then the third place where you can find us is in every Brightspace course. There is a module called Academic Support, and there are 3 links in there. And the very first link that says Get Help with Your Schoolwork, that is the direct link to our platform. And then, of course, you also have the Shapiro Library, which is underneath that, and the OAC. So there are multiple different ways that you can find us. And you can switch it forward, Melanie. Perfect. When you get dropped into that main platform area, you'll notice we have a ton of services at the very top on the navigation bar. And these are the services that we offer. And I want to say that this is not just for this course. This is not just for this term. This is for ongoing throughout your entire journey with SNHU. So please bookmark some of these areas. You see there's clickable on the PowerPoint itself, but I'm also going to drop some links right here into the chat. So first off, let's talk about the ARC, and that is the very first link that you'll see in the chat. It is a digital database filled with information to bridge those gaps of understanding, whether it's a concept, whether it's a course, whether it's a specific assignment in a course, or a specific, something you have to use for another course and that sort of thing. Whatever it is, please jump into the ARC first. It is going to be your first self-serve kind of a stop shop, if you will, for all of the things, videos and articles and diagrams, and oh my gosh, there's just so much stuff. So please bookmark the Academic Resource Center, which we lovingly call the ARC, and that is going to be your go-to for self-serve to start. The other service that's really popular, the next 2 are very, very popular, which are the 24/7 drop-in, which is a tutoring service, and written feedback. Both tutoring services are available to you, as you see, 24/7. The 24/7 drop-in tutoring will have like an option drop down for different subjects. And the one piece of advice I can tell you is if you get to that drop down menu and you're not seeing the subject matter that you are looking for, just know that it may be that that particular tutor is not on that particular shift. So always try back. It's very rare they don't have a tutor for a specific subject. So check back. And then just so you know, it is a chat feature. So if you wanted to share documents with that particular tutor, or your rubric, if you will, just to kind of give them an idea of what kind of questions you're asking and how they can help, that's always encouraged. The second service that's our really, really popular service is the written feedback. And written feedback is a paper drop-off service, which is kind of cool. So if you're working on something throughout the week and you want to drop it off into written feedback and receive some feedback on that particular piece of work within 12 hours, please do. It is a 12-hour turnaround. So just as a reminder, if you're putting a whole paper in there, 6 to 8, 10 pages, who knows how long it is as we get higher in our courses, right? They may not have the ability to check that entire paper. So the more information you can share about what you want the tutor to look at, the better, such as, can you check my APA formatting? Can you check formatting in general? How about transitions? Maybe your thesis statement. How does it all kind of come together? Those are the types of things you want to share with that tutor to look for, to make sure they hit those things that you're looking for, that second set of eyes on. Another service that we offer for everyone is academic coaching. And if you've ever had a sports coach before, it is exactly the same, but they are there to help you get through your degree. So they are long-term support. They are there to help you with time management and organization and synthesizing all of your maybe rubrics into assignments. Maybe you just have a hard time piecing up all of those little milestones and projects and how does that all work together and what's really expected of you. If this is something that you constantly need help with, or you would like help with it, by all means, please sign up for an academic coach. They're there giving you that sip of water until the end of the marathon to keep you going. So that is your best support for ongoing accountability and critical thinking and all of the types of student skills that you don't necessarily think of, right? Those softer skills. And then last but definitely not least, we have group sessions. And the second link I dropped in the chat is our workshop schedule. As you can see, if you've logged or clicked into that particular workshop schedule, we have now over 130 options for you guys. So there are two main options that you'll notice, one called workshops and one called office hours. The workshops are preset presentations. So if you're looking to learn about APA formatting, great, we've got a workshop for you. If you're looking to ask a question about APA formatting in your assignment, the office hours is for you. So either way, you'll get your questions answered. It just depends on what format you would like. And those office hours are your go-to drop-in to find live help with a learning support specialist on our team. So please take a look at that schedule. If you can't attend any of the sessions, no problem. You can literally sign up for the session and essentially watch that recording back. It'll automatically populate in your I think it's called previous sessions at the very bottom of the home page when you first log in. So if you click into the the last link that I shared, that direct link access to the Academic Support Center, if you click into that link, you're automatically subscribed right into our platform. So automatically your stuff will end up there. There's also a locker that has like all of your past links that your coach has shared with you, or that your learning support specialist has shared with you, or all of your sessions. Even the chat feature of the 24/7 is there. So it's a great opportunity for you guys to be able to go back and see all of the things that you've worked on in the past as well. And I think we are at the final bit of these sessions. Any questions about any of the links I shared, or any thoughts?
Y'all, there's so much cool stuff in the academic support team area. We're going to explore that here in just a second, but I always love to get Amy's advice because Amy has been a faculty member. She is on the academic support side. So as students are working to like put together this big project, I know we're talking about it early, but sometimes lifes and we, run into issues, or we just generally procrastinate. So what is your advice to students as they work on this and put this together, if they do procrastinate, or what they should be thinking of as they put it together.
Awesome. Procrastination from a coaching lens, because I also have, that's part of my specialization. It basically means you're kind of stressed out about something. So first, acknowledge that it's procrastination and not a flaw within your personal self. Procrastination happens. We all do it. The best of us do it. And some people do it on purpose because we like to make that crisis, right? We like to get that little surge of adrenaline going to make a crisis. And that's me all the way. What I can say is time management is your best friend. I say this all the time to my past coaching students and to students now, if I ever get to, and our coaches. The more you can schedule your time, the more freedom you have. And I don't know how that works, but it does. It's beautiful. I love a time block calendar. Keep up with your assignments. This is due on this day. Put it into your calendar. I think one of the best pieces of advice as an online student is being a student is now part of who you are. It's not in addition to who you are. So really take the time to keep up on the scheduling of things. Less procrastination will happen because you don't have to think about doing it all at once. And of course, use your resources. Please use your resources.
Such awesome advice. All right, y'all. So we are going to take kind of a course tour. So hold on just a second here, because I want to walk y'all through the academic support world. So Amy, you guide me on where you want to click, but this is what it looks like, y'all. Did you notice at the top of your classroom, you can click right directly on academic support, and it's going to bring you to the menu of services right here. So Amy, where would you like me to go?
So you can either, those yellow buttons you see will direct you right to that service, but the easiest way is just to go up to the top navigation bar and you'll see all the services right there on that home page. For example, if you click resources, that's going to land you right into the ARC. So that link that I shared with you is that same link that you see here. If you want to go back to your home page, if you can, there you go, perfect. If you want to see a workshop, you can click the workshop space. And everything will populate of what's happening. You just give it a moment. Everything that's happening over the next, I think it is 3 full days, you'll see everything. And if you hover over, you'll see kind of what it's about. You can book it from here. And when it's live, you can actually launch from here. So that button, that book now button will turn to launch, which means it's going to land you right into the session itself. Well, there it is. See? Wonderful. So that is kind of how you find. There is a keyword search up at the top. We are working on it as a team to make it better receptive to what is like titles versus keywords. So if you have the title of the workshop, that's the best way to go. Or you can even put in, or you can search for date and time type of thing. Written feedback, if you want to jump into that one, we'll go there next, because that is one of our most popular services. And exactly what I was saying earlier, when you drop a paper off, it's going to ask you, please describe your assignment and any instructions that you've received. So you can actually tell them what your instructor gave you feedback on, if that's possible. You can let them know, what it is you want them to work on, what's the topic of your paper. It's going to ask you a lot of information. So this is a great area to give them as much as you can so that you know exactly what you're wanting to get looked at gets looked at. Okay. Let's see. Can we jump out again? We'll go to another one. We can do so scheduled support. If you click academic coaching, there you go. That's going to drop you right into the academic coach side of things. You'll click on that right box where it says, I just struggle no matter what. These are your soft skills. So maybe you're just struggling in general with time management, not necessarily course content. That's going to be where your academic coach comes in. Then you're going to be directed to this page, which is going to talk about some basic skills that you want to work on. Those can always change, and your coach will essentially work on all of those skills with you. The cool thing too is that you get to choose who your coach is. So if you want to choose by time and when that person is available, awesome. And I think if you click on that person's image or hover, you should get a little bio as well. Oh, maybe not. Maybe you have to book the session to see the bio. But essentially, you can choose the day and time of that person. And yeah, let's see. Go ahead and click it. Let's see if it, oh no. I'm like, yeah, go ahead. Let's just see what happens. Okay. Don't click there. Probably because you're There you go. Perfect, perfect, perfect. So yes, it gives you a little excerpt about them. Yeah, and then you can absolutely sign up for those phone reminders. It is not automatic. I should have said that from the beginning as well. When you land on our home page, so if you can go back to the home, oh, you are in the home. So sorry. Go to the account menu, Melanie, on the right-hand side where it says my account. Perfect. Now where it says account settings right there, click into there. And here's where you can sign up for the text reminders of any session that you've created. So if you book a session and you want a quick text reminder, just sign your phone number in there and essentially it'll save the changes for you. You will get those text reminders, but without that sign up, you will not get them. You'll get an email reminder. So it depends on how you would like your notifications set up. And then again, in the My Account drop-down menu, Melanie, there should be an area where it says previous sessions. There you go. And in those previous sessions, if you had any, they would all be there, but they're also on that main page when you drop in. And I think the last one would be the 24/7. If you want to just show them what that's like, you would jump right into 24/7. It's going to give you a little drop down menu of what it is you're looking for. And then you can go like math, and then you can go into subject, and it gives you all the different types of math. And then, of course, if you have a specific question, please, the more information you can attach or give them, the better. And I think it's within very, very quickly, within a minute or two, you're connected to somebody, probably even quicker. And again, you can see that previous sessions tab on the very bottom of this. It will literally log everything that you've ever done in our platform for you. So you can always refer back to it. It's really kind of cool. And I think that's all of the sessions we just jumped into.
That is amazing. Y'all, there
Yeah,
is so much support and it's
there
offered in
is.
so many different ways. And even if you don't need that maybe extra support now, you might need it down the line. So Amy and I just think it's so great to be able to take a minute and kind of show you where to click, what you would fill out, because sometimes when students get to some of these spots, they're like, what? I don't know what to do. I don't know what to put. Now you know. So you can always come back to this webinar and you can be like, oh yeah, this is what I click if I want to do this. And I learn something every time we do these sessions, and I've done these for a number of years because I love that Amy reminded you guys, if you're going to use the written feedback team for writing feedback, you need to be specific with what you want them to focus on. So often y'all are so busy that you're like, I just need help doing this, and you upload and submit. But what is it you need help with? Be specific, because that'll just help them give you the best feedback versus general feedback. Okay, so just remember that. Amy, thank you so much for being with us today and sharing these resources, y'all. So there's so much, like we talked about, lots of places to click, lots of information. So that brings me to, drum roll, the week 7 stuff, right? So I'm not going to turn my camera on just because sometimes when I'm sharing my screen with all of the internet energy, it can make me lag for some reason in Teams. So I want to make sure that you guys get the best experience, but I will pop my camera on here at the end again too, okay? And again, this is recorded. So if I go too fast or you have questions, always pop them in the chat, but just know you can go back and watch this as many times as you need to, and it'll be posted up really probably before tonight, okay? So we are in week 6. We're talking about week 7 a whole week early. So for module 7, week 7, when you go to, course menu, y'all have this down pat now. Learning module, scroll to your module, right? Module 7. I want to point out a couple of things. One, for module 7, you will see this discussion spot, okay? This is a non-graded discussion opportunity. You do not have to post in here. You do not have to do anything for the discussion in week 7, module 7, okay? This space is literally here as an area for you to ask questions, maybe share how you are putting together your final project, or share like sometimes management strategies. Sometimes students are like, oh my gosh, I loved this about the course, or I learned this. This is absolutely not a place that you post any pieces or parts of your project or any of your assignments, okay? It's just a space if you want to share some thoughts, or if you have a question about the project or anything like that. It's not graded. You don't have to do anything if you don't want to, but I always like to point that out, okay? Sometimes students just like to post something in there to say like, hey, I learned this, or hey, I was able to get my project done. The writing team helped me, whatever it might be, okay? The big assignment, of course, for the week of module 7, week 7, is your academic success plan. So as always, you want to click on guidelines and rubric because you want to understand what you are doing, right? I am like probably most of you. There's a lot of details and a lot of instructions. I'm a skimmer, but I always tell people take a minute and carefully read the directions because it literally lays out exactly how you're supposed to do the assignment. Okay. So you'll notice there's kind of just a quick overview of like why you're doing this assignment and some tips for your success. And then you're going to see the directions. So remember, you have a series of questions that you are answering. Some of these questions have multiple pieces and parts, so make sure that you are answering them accordingly. Use examples, use details. I love this note. The quality of your responses will be more valuable than the number of examples you provide. So don't just list a bunch of examples, like have intention with what you are writing so that somebody who's reading it who doesn't know you super well understands where you're coming from, okay? So this lists all of the questions you're going to answer. Underneath what to submit, this is what is really important. Underneath what to submit, you are going to see this blue highlighted text, Academic Success Plan Template. When you click on that, it opens up your actual template that you are going to be working on, okay? I want to point out that under supporting materials, you will see a project example and you will see a project template. This project template is the exact same thing as this academic success plan template. I don't know why they're named different things, but they are the same document. Okay, different titles, same document. I wanted to make sure I pointed that out. Also, make sure you review the rubric. Tells you how you're going to be graded. This is a great thing to look at once you get your project written and put together to grade yourself. I tell students this all the time. I tell my high schooler this all the time too, and he has a rubric. I said, okay, you're done. Now grade yourself. And then when he looks at it, he's like, oh, I missed that. Oh, I should have added more there. Yes, it can be helpful. So take the time, plan your time appropriately so you can do some of those things. So what I wanted to point out is you have an example of this project laid out, not for you to copy, not for you to take pieces and parts from it, but to give you a solid foundation and a starting point of what this project should look like. Okay, so I'm going to click on it. When you click on it, it's going to open up the PDF document. Okay, and I'm going to run through it because I want to point out a few things. This project is not perfect. However, it is an amazing A-level work. Okay, so let's talk about it. I want to show you a couple of different things on how you could answer some of these questions. So first and foremost, your very first question is to identify a problem-solving technique or method you have used in a previous situation and explain how it helped you. How might problem-solving methods be different in diverse cultures or fields of work? How can effective problem solving help you in your academic journey? So notice right off the bat, question 1 has 3 questions attached to it, right? So this student chose to use bullet points in a way to keep their work organized. You can do the same thing. You can use numbers. You can write it in an essay style. Whatever you do, just make sure you're answering all pieces and parts. Be detailed, give examples, okay? So you'll notice that this student, first off the bat, I have used a trial and error problem solving method, and they explained how this has helped them. Like they had a problem submitting assignments in Brightspace, and they had to work through that, right? Next one, problem solving might look different in different fields of work. They chose to talk about different fields of work. For example, in the medical field, they might not be able to use this, but they could use this. So it gave examples to drive their point home, right? And then the third one, effective problem solving can help me in my academic journey because it'll improve my communication skills with people and help me gain confidence in addressing issues. Whatever your thoughts are, okay? Question 2, remember when we learned about our learning style or styles earlier in the term? Most of us are a variety of learning styles, okay? That's totally fine. Share what yours are. So this student said, my learning style is the read/write learning style. And then how has knowing or learning that help support your success through this term? So you're writing about you. So this student was like, okay, well, in this class, I learned how I can study best and prioritize my time. And they shared how their learning style came into play. Okay, is this making sense, y'all? Like how you're supposed to answer this? I like this layout because it's very organized, but you can write it in whatever way you need to, as long as you answer all pieces and parts and you make sure that you explain your thoughts fully, okay? Question 3 is to identify which of the 5 successful habits of an SNHU student have been most helpful for you throughout this course. Explain how those habits have helped you. I always tell students when it is plural, so this asks for explaining how those habits, you need to have at least 2. Okay, so there's 5. If all 5 helped you, explain them if you want, but you only need to speak to at least 2 of them. Okay, remember that was that infographic from back in the beginning of the term. So for this student, Two of them that helped this student was logging in early and reaching out for help, and then they explained how that helped and why that helped, okay? Question 4, explain how you will stay on track in your course and overcome interruptions that may impact your schedule. Share your thoughts. This, student explained that, but also shared, like, my biggest interruption tends to be my kids, and this is what I'm going to plan to overcome that barrier or challenge, okay? Question 5, choose 2 SNHU resources. So remember, SNHU resources are the people and departments that are here at SNHU. And you're choosing 2 social supports. Social supports are anything outside of SNHU, people, places, and things outside of SNHU. And you're choosing 2 from each category that'll help most with achieving your mission and goals, and also keep your time management plans on track, right? So you're going to pick them, but you're also going to share why you picked them. So you'll notice that this student listed out their resources, they chose their instructor and academic support, and then they explained why, okay? Same thing for their social support. They named their partner, their best friend, and they explained why. So remember, 2 that are resources, so anything university affiliated, 2 that are not, that are outside the university, okay? And then remember how I talked about your mission statement and those 3 short-term goals. Back in module 4, week 4, you wrote your mission statement and those 3 short-term goals. If you got 100%, this is where you copy and paste that mission statement that you had from week 4, and then this number 7 is where you put all 3 goals. I caution you to double check your work, because often students forget one of their goals for whatever reason when they're copying and pasting things. So just double check your work, okay? Or they forget part of their mission statement, right? They forget like the last sentence or something. So just double check. If you had recommended changes, you want to make sure you look back at that graded faculty feedback from this assignment and make those changes. Like I said, I pull up previous work and compare it to the new work, okay? Does that make sense, everybody, so far? I know it's kind of a lot of text, but I want to make sure that I go through this with you. Question 8, describe the importance of setting goals on your academic journey. So why is it important for you to set goals on this academic journey? Share your thoughts. Question 9, explain how you are going to stay motivated to achieve your goals and mission statement based on what you have learned in SNHU 107. So this student took a minute and reflected honestly, like they have to be their biggest motivator. So they make a to-do list, they meet with their advisor, but I love this part too, and even made a small reward system, like going out to eat as a family to celebrate for each class that they pass. So they need those key things, like they need somebody that's kind of an accountability partner, that's their advisor. They have to be responsible for making a to-do list, but they also need those little mini rewards along the way. Who doesn't? I love that. So share those things honestly. Question 10, explain why an awareness of diversity is beneficial to giving and receiving feedback when collaborating with others. Share your thoughts. Question 11, explain why it is important to take ownership, be vulnerable, ask for help, and have an open mind to achieve your goals. This student shared like they learned that being vulnerable is a strength, and what they took from that and how that perspective is going to keep them moving forward and have an open mind, right? And then question 12, the very last question of your project, is to explain what your biggest takeaway was from this course. So a takeaway is like, what is the biggest thing that stood out to you, or what is the biggest thing that you learned this term? And so this student shared their thoughts. That's it, y'all. So you put this together and you save it. I always encourage students to get it off to the academic support team for written feedback. Remember to be very specific with your tutor on what you want them to evaluate on your project. And then you turn it in for your success, okay? When you get to week 7, module 7, this project is due by that Sunday of week 7, module 7, or before is convenient for your schedule, okay? Remember, it is worth a significant chunk of your grades. So make sure that you get that turned in, okay? So just a reminder, like, know how you're graded. When you get your project put together, take a minute and kind of grade yourself using the rubric. I always encourage students to utilize the template because it just helps you really keep yourself organized. If you choose to get creative, just remember to make sure you have all pieces and parts. Use your resources. If you're stuck, if you have questions, if you're not sure on something about graded feedback or assignment specific, get with your instructor first, okay? We want you to be successful, so please reach out. If you want just kind of another set of eyes or thoughts on your writing and on the assignment, get with the academic support team and utilize that written feedback service. Plus, you have the learning community webinar spaces, and you can always pop questions into the SNHU 107 learning community and SNHU Connect too. The biggest thing is to be yourself, y'all. So many students that took SNHU 107 like way early in their educational journey, have come back to me, when they're seniors and getting ready to graduate and said, "Oh my gosh, Professor Shop, I started struggling with like time management and just like kind of just like not really being the student I wanted to be. And I came across my old assignment from SNHU 107, and it reminded them of their goals and it reminded them of their plans and how they were going to use their resources. And they're like, this is like kind of a roadmap to my success. Like I needed this reminder. So do this project with you and your goals in mind, because it's a great way to remember what keeps you motivated, what you want to work on, the resources you want to use, and how you're going to navigate yourself throughout this journey. Okay, so be yourself. That's always the best part. Um, as a reminder, week 6, which is the week we're currently in, you have that journal assignment due by Sunday or before. And then next week in module 7, you have your project due by Sunday or before, is convenient for your schedule. And there is the non-graded discussion opportunity. Shall you want to share your thoughts? Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen here just real quick, y'all. I wanted to make sure, everybody questions? Any questions? Everybody feeling okay? Hello. I wanted to make sure that I got all your questions answered. If you needed anything, this will be downloaded. I'll get the recording up here in just a little bit here. Actually, I'm going to hopefully work on this in the next couple hours. But y'all, that's it. That's it for week 6. That's it for week 7. You have a lot of stuff coming up these next couple of weeks, and time goes really fast. So just make sure you plan your time appropriately. If you get stuck or have questions, make sure you reach out. These assignments, these final projects are my absolute favorite assignment, because it really just connects the dots of everything you've been working on in SNHU 107. And it's such a wonderful roadmap for you and the goals that you have set. So know that your faculty really enjoy reading them. If you get stuck or you need anything, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm so excited for you. If you get stuck or need anything, connect with your resources, and just remember, you got this. Goodbye, everybody. Happy week 6 and happy week 7.